What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, do we have a perfect hobby World Series? Yes, I know we are in the heat of football season. The NBA season is tipping off, but the MLB World Series starts later this evening. I'm actually recording this Friday afternoon. I did not get a chance to record a video last night for today. And I kind of wanted to get this out before the series started, but is this a perfect setup? Dodgers, Yankees, two historic franchises, all-star laden teams, hobby heroes left, right, and center in Otani, Judge, Soto, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Stanton, Garrett Cole. I mean, the list goes on and on. These are very collectible players, very popular teams, and someone has the potential to add a very important chip to their legacy. Now, the three big ones, in my opinion, and no offense to Mookie Betts, are Judge, Soto, and Otani. Now, Soto already has a World Series, but for Judge and Otani, this could be a possible defining moment. You know, if Judge gets a World Series ring, does that put him in contention with, you know, I don't know these on the level of like all-time Yankee greats, like the insane ones from back in the day, but just in general, this feels like it would solidify him in his status as a, you know, on that list of all-time Yankee guys. And I'm talking about the more modern tier generation, like Jeter, Paul O'Neill, Mariano Rivera, like that sort of echelon. If he gets a ring, that starts putting him in that territory because of the World Series ring, in my opinion. I'm not a Yankees fan, so maybe I'm talking out of my butt. I am sure Yankee fans will not be shy in the comment section down below if I am wrong on that one. For Otani, obviously, amazing player, insane stats. First time seeing him on a World Series stage because he was stuck on the Angels forever. You know, what does he do with the spotlight fully on him? And then Soto, who absolutely destroyed my Cleveland Indians along with Giancarlo Stanton. He already has the ring, already has a bunch of accolades, but getting a second one at, 26 years old? That would be a nice little feather in his cap as well. And like I said, there is a slew of other players on those rosters that are pretty big and collectible names even. And like I said, Betts should very much be considered in this territory as well. Needless to say, the list of collectible players on both rosters is very, very deep. So could MLB have scripted this any better? And how have the playoffs for at least those three guys moved the needle at all? So I pulled up some examples, word market movers today, link in the description down below if you want a free preview or 20% off if you want to try it out. First up, looking at some Otani stuff. So everything we're about to look at is from March 1st through today, October 25th. Otani up first, and I have a couple different sets of cards for each of these players that we're just going to glance at because there definitely has been some uplift in the postseason, as you can see. So for Otani here, the cards that you are looking at, the Bowman PSA 10 batting, that's the dark blue line. The pink Topps Update refractor is the black line. The base refractor, if you will, is the yellow line. These are all PSA 10s. Prism refractor is the light green line. And then the rookie debut pink refractor is the magenta line, if you will. That one, he is at a hitting post, so I always like to kind of include that one in. But for the most part, you could see these all kind of correlate together. They come in over here in the early days of the spring, pretty high up. They dip throughout the beginning into the middle part of the season. And then as the chase to 50-50, they begin to ramp up here in mid-August. So back at the beginning of the year, we'll just use the first Bowman batting as the primary example here, as that's a very popular card. Back in March, that was going for about $750, $800, give or take. Prior to the 50-50 run up, it got all the way down to $600 in season. In mid-August, So really not that long ago, this was going for $600. Today, it's going for 900. And as you could see, most of his stuff from that mid-August date through the end of the year has matured nicely. If you bought at the beginning of the season and held all the way through, you're actually basically breaking even to an ever so slight profit. 6%, 3%, down 8%, up 20% on the debut pink, and then up 21% on the Bowman. So those two, congratulations, you covered your selling fees and maybe a little bit of extra. Everything else, you're still breaking even. Now, if you bought mid-season, which as we've discussed for years on this channel, a lot of times the best times to buy are in the middle of the season. Caught this wave before the 50-50 crazy happened, you're sitting pretty. But you can see he's definitely gotten a big run up, but I do think a lot of that was more the 50-50 than the playoff stuff, as the run-up has been a lot longer. Now, let's talk about Soto for a second. Obviously had a great year. Put up insane numbers. Has had a pretty decent playoffs for the most part. The legendary at bat versus my Cleveland Indians that I had to watch while I was roaming the streets of New York with Yankee fans all around me. Looking at his, we're going to look at two sets of cards for his. I have his first Bowman's Up. PSA 10, BGS 9.5, PSA 9, and PSA 9 Refractor. Same time frame, same story. No movement. PSA 10's down 13%. BGS 9.5 is up 6%. PSA 9's down 2%, and the Refractor is down 4%. So basically no change. Nothing has really happened. Now, he has gotten a little bump the last week or two. We're going to see that more on the next one. But generally speaking, it seems like his little playoff home run and all the other stuff has gotten him juiced up a little bit. You could really see it here. This is the 2018 gold in a PSA 10, BGS 9.5, and a PSA 9. The gold, you could this was right before those games was at basically, let's see, we got 1.4, 1.2, and then immediately jumps to 1.5. So someone got some FOMO there and smacked the bin on something. But you can also see there hasn't been any recent BGS 9.5 sales, but the PSA 9 kind of followed suit, not as extreme, 420. We got another one here at 430, 450, and then 500. So it was slightly creeping up as well. So we'll have to see how this one ages over the course of the next week or so. I do, full disclosure, own a BGS 9.5 copy of this card. I bought it back in the spring at the March Ship Shawana show. I forget what I paid for it. I'd have to double check, but I think it was around the $450, $500 mark, give or take. I'd have to go back and watch the video or check my spreadsheet. But I do have one of these in a BGS 9.5. On the refractor side of things, the legendary pink refractor, if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you know, same time period, down about 20%. The hands on hips SP variation, same thing, 585, down slightly. And then the rainbow foil down 17%. Now, Soto, being in 2018 update, does not have a lot of refractors and stuff like a lot of the other players do. So it kind of makes for weird stuff with his cards. That's why I like looking at the gold and like looking at the hands on hips and those things. But same thing, you could see things were relatively flat, and we see similar, oh my God, someone got some FOMO. You can see the hands on hips was going for 475 on the 18th, and then on the 19th and the 20th, it jumped up to almost 600, 585. Same thing here on the pink refractor. It was going for 350. What's this one? 300, 345 on the 17th. Then the 18th and 19th roll around, it jumps up to $400. And it's been sitting there for the last couple of days. We even had a rainbow foil sale pop off out of line. So his stuff definitely got a little juiced off that home run. Now, let's swing over and look at Mr. Judge. He is a little different story. His stuff has just been steadily climbing all year long. We are looking at his PSA 10, just base Topps Chrome. An interesting note on that we'll talk about in a second. Refractor PSA 10. Prism refractor, and a pink refractor, just to kind of get the whole rainbow in there. Going in reverse order, the pink is up 16%, the least desirable of all these, you could argue, even though the pop count is a little bit lower. Prism refractor up 25%. Not much of a premium over the base refractor. And then the regular refractor, the base refractor as I like to call it, up 54%. So the biggest percentage gain out of the refractors is on that one. And it's also selling for pretty close to the prism refractor. Now, does that say more? Because the pop count is about half. The prism goes for 483. The regular refractor, or is a pop 483. The regular refractor, the pop is over 1,000. As you always have to remember, there are two sides to the story. There is a supply side and a demand side. So even though the supply is less, the demand is clearly higher for the regular refractor. And I wonder how much of this is the over rainbow foiling, pixie dusting, paralleling of everything. Are people getting a little fatigued to that? And they just want the refractor. The refractor is I know what it is. I don't got to worry about all these other different colors that I don't care about. And to be quite frank, it's just a nice looking card. And that matters too. Especially if, and wait for it, collectors are buying these. I know. And then last but not least, just the base Topps Chrome, non-shiny. Well, I guess it's shiny because it's chrome, but you know what I mean. No refractory, no swirly balls, no nothing. Percentage-wise is up the highest. 69% increase on just the regular old Topps Chrome PSA 10. Pop 7,000 on that thing. Plenty of them out there. And I think this might be a little bit of a tell to the price points. I wonder if that's part of it. And also to kind of what I just talked about. People are buying Judge that are not necessarily the air quote card investor, flipper bro, COVID briefcase guy, whatever, nonsense you want to throw on it. It's just, hey man, I like baseball. I like the Yankees. Aaron Judge hits a lot of freaking home runs. I think that's pretty cool. I want to buy a couple of his cards. Oh, cool. Here's his Topps Chrome and a PSA 10. Done. That's not that expensive. 150, 200 bucks. Cool. Oh, I have a little extra money to spend. All right, I'll get the super shiny one with the refractor. Done. Put it on my desk, put it in my office. Hey, look what I got. And that's the last that they think about it. It lives on their desk. It's a happy little time. It reminds them of this team, this playoff run, Judge's dominance with the Yankees the last couple of years, whatever it is. But those types of buyers gravitate, I think, more towards just the base and normal everyday refractor. This is an assumption on my part. I have no way of knowing this for sure. This is just an educated guess, if you will. But if you have different thoughts on it, feel free to fire away in the comments down below. Why do you think it is that the regular old refractor is outselling basically the prism, which is more rare, air quotes, and that the just base Topps Chrome has the largest percentage gain over some of his other cards? Now, let's look at one last thing, and we're going to stay with Mr. Judge. Let's look at the Investor Bro cards. First, Bowman Autos, same thing, same time range. PSA 10 up 11%. BGS 9.5 up 35%. And a PSA 9 up about 20%. Now, there was a PSA 10 hadn't sold for a couple of days, and it did dip down on October 6th. It went for $3K. Prior to that, it was climbing 3.7. We have a 3.6 and a 3.3. So my guess is if one sold today, it would probably be a little bit more in line with this 20 to 30% increase. Maybe not quite 3.7, but somewhere in this neck of the woods versus this one little dip outlier. I don't know for sure, but that was almost a month ago. So it's been a hot minute since one of those sold. And the 9 is still doing pretty well. A 9 just sold about 2 weeks ago for $2K. So, extrapolate what you will there. I'm sorry, that's a BGS 9.5, not a PSA 9. PSA 9 is not sold for a hot minute. But needless to say, the higher end Judge, if you will, are up about 20 to 30%. And when you come back over here, percentage wise, the old tried and true base tops chrome and refractor are up a higher percentage point. Obviously not dollars, but percentage. So just kind of interesting as well. We will see what happens now that the World Series is officially starting later tonight. Obviously, I didn't cover the whole rosters. I just wanted to touch on the three big ones. I did take a peek. Stanton stuff has gotten a little bump given how hot he finished up, but his supply side is so weird because it's 2010, I think, was his rookie year, and just not a lot of stuff transacts regularly for him. But it did look like he got a little bit of a bump up with his crazy ALCS against my Cleveland Indians. We'll end on this. I will put my official prediction on the Dodgers. I don't know how many games, but I do think the Dodgers win. I am rooting for them as an anti-Yankee establishment YouTube channel. The only side benefit will be I do really like Juan Soto. I hated that he went to the Yankees. I really, really like Juan Soto. I have a small portion of his cards. Nothing super crazy. The gold is probably the most expensive Soto that I own. But that would be a good little side benefit if they end up winning and he gets his second ring. We'll see where he goes as a free agent, depending on how all this plays out. But feel free to fire away with any World Series hot takes that you have down below. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.